No, bro. Oh, I'm trying.
Yep.
Here, hold up. You go ahead and say. No. Hold up. There.
No, you are not Gabriel Iglesias.
Okay, you already did that.
We are going up to the extra few of those questions today. We are finishing up episode 2. I'm sorry, episode 1, watching a little bit of episode 2, but there's no additional questions for that. We're going to do episode 4 tomorrow, which I will give you guys questions for, and then episode 5 on Friday. There's 2 things for homework this week, which the last bit, like the last things we're doing for homework. I gave you your math activity yesterday. There were some elements in Google Classroom to help you with that. If you would like, you can also grab a textbook to finish that out, okay? And then today, I already posted, but this little bit here, because as we start to get into our episodes, it's going to talk a little bit more about, really specifically tomorrow and Friday, about outside relationships with Iran and Iraq and other countries besides Afghanistan. And one of the biggest issues we have currently, like right now with Iran, we've sort of been in a decent spot, but about a year to 2 years ago, there was declassified information that came out of FBI and CIA documentation that there was a kind of a government shift in the 1950s in Iran, and the Iranian people for decades had sort of the idea and claimed that the United States was a part of that. We denied that and denied that and denied that with them. And literally 2 years ago got released that we absolutely were involved in that. And we then sort of supported a dictator that the Iranian people hated. And is anyone in here read Persepolis in English, right? So that revolution, when they get rid of that leader, that's the leader that the United States helped keep in place. And we took out a prime minister that most likely would have been far, far better for the people of Iran. But our issue at the time in the 1950s was their oil. So that was recently released. And so this kind of talks a little bit about that. And so where we stand with them right now because of that. So I think it's interesting. We're going to hear more about their leadership and sort of their role in the early 2000s to like now, right? But I thought that was helpful. This is your last homework of the year. Last one is 1 page. Look. 1 page. 1 page. All right, so just make sure you grab one of those if you need to. And let's take a look at questions.
Ooh, I didn't do that.
1 to 8. I'm going to re-show. That's not. I'm going to re-show a little bit.
Wait, how to? You just label it?
Hey guys, here's my deal. Yesterday we were extremely chatty. This counts as a quiz, and I'm giving you answers. remote, and they need to get any satellitation they possibly can. They specifically made Afghanistan because it's close to them, right? And they don't think anybody at all will hit. What they miscalculated that is we elected Ronald Reagan as president during this time. And he was basically campaigning completely that we were going back to the Cold War. We were going to go back to containment, we were going to get the Soviets, we were going to crush them, make sure that they're completely gone. And so when the Soviet Union does that, we end up stepping in. And that's the only reason why we go to Afghanistan. They don't have oil there, they don't have anything we're interested in there. We are literally only there because of the Soviet Union. So if the Soviet Union doesn't do that, we never, ever, ever have anything to do with them. Ever. But they do, so here we are. Question 2. By 1985, how many Afghans had possibly been killed? About 1 million. About 1 million. And then a significant amount were exiled into Pakistan as well as Iran, who those countries at that time could not take on that many people. So that fight needed to stop. 3. We saw the beginning of the Bin Laden family yesterday. What jobs did they have in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, they were construction contractors. They were developers. People would pay them to build property, dig tunnels, drill for oil. And they absolutely worked with U.S. business,
Wait, I missed that.
and businesses in Europe. They were
I missed what I just missed what you said
they were
right there.
extremely wealthy. They were extremely modern. They were a large family. And Osama bin Laden was a part of that. He was not raised in any type of overly religious conservative element. He actually goes to Afghanistan more with the idea of being an investor. And he basically convinces his dad to give him some equipment. He's going to help Afghanistan win and dig tunnels and start investing in businesses there. And his dad's like, this is a great idea. No, like that's awesome. When he's there, he starts this group with others called Al-Qaeda. And that's where we see that shift. So for question 4, what was the Al-Qaeda that Osama bin Laden formed? Basically, it was like Muslim workers and Muslim travelers that were coming into Afghanistan to fight for the freedom of Afghanistan. It shifts. That message shifts. After Afghanistan is safe from the Soviet Union, Osama bin Laden stays in that group and stays in that leadership role there and starts to advocate that their fight is not done. That the Soviet Union might be gone, but their next enemy is now the United States and others just like them. And they basically use the message that the United States isn't going to lead the Middle East. It's not interested in helping the Middle Eastern countries, but rather their own interests. And at first, people don't buy it, but then when Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait, we move our troops from Afghanistan right into Saudi Arabia, and Osama bin Laden just goes, see, they're not leaving. I told you they weren't going to go home. And now his message starts picking up traction in that early 1990s.
Well, to be fair, he wasn't exactly wrong that we're only interested in our own interest.
Absolutely protecting our oil fields. And they did bring that up yesterday. So I know you missed the beginning, but they did talk about that. And we were very worried that Saddam Hussein was going to not only invade Kuwait, but take Saudi Arabia, and that is where our money goes. Okay? The Saudi Arabian government at the time wanted that protection. So we moved there very quickly. And it was almost immediately, because Saddam Hussein immediately, as soon as the Soviets are out of Afghanistan, it's like 3 months later, bam, he's in Kuwait and we're moving our troops over. So it is a very quick turnaround. And Osama bin Laden uses that to his advantage, absolutely. 5, who gave the Afghan Stinger missiles to shoot down the Soviet planes? We did. That was us. We gave them those missiles. For 6, what was the effect of that? Game over for the Soviet Union. Because we're going to see the terrain of Afghanistan today. You cannot get into that country unless you fly in. There is no water. It is landlocked. Okay? And the terrain itself is quite difficult to navigate by land. So you have to fly in the border. So if I have missiles flying my border, anytime I see a plane coming, you're done. I'm shooting you out of the sky and you are not making it into my country. And that's exactly what was happening. 7, when did the Soviets leave Afghanistan? 1989, you could say 1988, that would be fine. Okay? And then 8, What did the Saddam Hussein do after? And that was when we move our troops. All right, I'm gonna stop there. I want us to continue. We are gonna watch today the rest of episode 2. I'm sorry, 1. And a part of episode 2.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be going to wait. You do the 2 and a wait.
True.
Like that, you know, I can go for a basketball, right?
I think it's I was looking to tell the one I can't find the Indian Ocean or the West Bank.
The Indian Ocean is like further out over here, so it's past the Arabian Gulf and Israel.
Oh, just no. Find it too. Or is it list?
I got the 9 needed, but I probably
I kind of suspect that I cannot think or do it.
Okay, can I see that map again? I think I found it.
What's up, Lara? She's swamped.
It's this little area right here.
Question somewhere around 9-10-ish. And then we'll get to 11. We're going to finish up all these questions in episode 1. And then I do want to show you about 10 minutes of episode 2. Most of episode 2 is about the Pentagon attack, which is where it's a weapon.
This is like mostly Arabian.
We aren't going to see all of that because we don't have time. But what we will do is we will take a look at what happened in Declaration of War Hour. Because, folks, the biggest problem we have, this is the first time we are attacked by a group, not a country. And that is a problem. And we've talked in this class, countries attack countries. We've never seen a terrorist group attack a country like this. So how do you attack, like, how do you declare war on a group that's in 15 different places, right? You can't go and invade all of those places. So what ends up happening is we decide basically to go where we feel the leadership of this group is and where they're being welcome, which happens to be Afghanistan. So we're going to lead up to that today and why that is, how Osama bin Laden got moved into Afghanistan, what he was doing there, and what the Taliban was doing as well. Because remember, today the Taliban is considered an actual group, not at all a terrorist group. They are considered a government.
Oh yeah, they're the ruling government of Afghanistan now, right? Ah, yes. I think I know where good genocide might be justified.
Huh?
I think I know where I can justify genocide right now.
You make no sense, but okay.
Genocide.
We're at the point.
Oh, okay.
We're at the point. Saddam Hussein has just invaded Kuwait. That's what we're going to pick up here. Okay? You're going to see the response of the United States, United Kingdom, and others, and why they were there to protect Saudi Arabia. And then we're going to move into what Osama bin Laden is doing at this time. And then it's going to escalate into and kind of bring us back to all the things that we're building up to 9/11, which were quite a few globally.
To protect Saudi Arabia and to safeguard the rest of the Arabian Peninsula from any attempt by Iraq to expand its control over the world's oil supplies. When I came to the FBI, terrorist groups were something that I was studying. I was really interested in groups like Hamas, groups like Hezbollah, groups like PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And this weird guy who gives all these different interviews. What are your future plans?
You will see them and hear about them in the media. God willing.
Who is he? What's his intention? And when you talk to people in the US government at the time, most of them tell you, he's just a financier. He finances Islamic causes around the world. But there was something more sinister to him. Osama bin Laden had a lot of difficulties trying to explain to his followers his religious justification of fighting the United States. After all, the United States gave the Mujahideen aid, helped the Afghani people defeat the Soviet communists. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, it was a wake-up call for people like Osama bin Laden. They said, see, we told you, the United States wanted to invade Muslim lands. They wanted to invade the land of the two holy places to steal the oil and steal the wealth of the Muslims.
This solidified Osama bin Laden's mind that the United States was no different from the Soviet Union, was through the ruse of protecting Saudi Arabia, attempting to subjugate Muslim peoples and also to seize control of the Muslims' most precious natural resource, oil and natural gas reserves in that region of the world. He portrayed himself as the lone man, a person deeply devoted to his religion, who is standing up against this cultural